Hello and welcome to the 7 most dangerous mistakes men make when messaging women online and how to avoid them. I'm Adam Chavin. In this video, you're going to learn the 7 most dangerous mistakes that you're probably making now with women that is causing them to not want to message you, not respond to you, not give you their phone number, not date you, and ultimately not become your girlfriend or go into a relationship with you or kiss you or sleep with you or anything like this. When you cut the stuff out, you're going to see your ability to meet and message women online and get the phone number and move it forward so much improve. Tremendously improve. Obviously, after that, you actually have to be a normal person to, actually date them and go out with them and stuff like that. But if you don't do this stuff, you won't even get that far. You won't even have the ability to date them and, be an attractive person for them. You will, because they're not even going to respond to you, you're just going to come off as every other guy who's having so much trouble online. Women are not going to message you back. It's going to seem like they don't even want to respond to anything, and you're not going to know why, and it's going to be horrible. So, let's get started. The first and by far the most worst possible thing that people do online is just saying hi or other introductory stuff. Got some examples here. Hello, my name is Max. I'm 23. I like to get to know you better. Are you interested? How's your weekend going? It's finally getting nice. Were you able to get out? And what these guys are thinking, and I know because I used to do this stuff too, was, they treat it like this cousin's wedding. It's like, oh, she's just a girl. I'm just a guy. I'm just going to go up to her and introduce myself and be a regular nice guy. And the problem with that is that, it's not, just being there with the cousin wedding where there's nothing to do, where there's Aunt Selma yakking her ear off, where she's just around a million people she doesn't know or like anything like that. She's on the internet. And the internet is known for just having crazy stimulation. She's got YouTube, she's got Netflix, she's got Facebook, she's got just weird people tweeting her all sorts of same things, and she's got weird guys messaging her. And I've actually got a little treat for you here. Is what I do is I do a lot of consulting for guys. In fact, it's my job to consult for them online and do stuff, and I've get women to allow me to use their profiles so that I can show these guys what it's like to be a girl online. Alright, and so this is a girl I know. Actually, I think I met her online, and I set up her profile right now. I'm going to take it off, when I'm done with this, but just so you can see, it's just on today, and already she has, 43 messages, and she's probably got like a couple more, and it's only been on for, now she's got 46 messages, and it's only been on for like 3 hours. And 1 hour of that I didn't even have her pictures up because I kind of got busy and distracted. And if you look at these lovely pictures, how did you learn Chinese? This is her exact profile. I copied it exactly for you. So she knew Chinese, so that's on there. And hey, how are you? How's it going? I like your username. I love your smile. How something. I'll be sweet too. Want to share a matzah sandwich. Yeah, she's Jewish. Yeah, she's Jewish and Passover, so he's like noticed that and he did this. Congrats on improving your calling skills. Hi, how are you? Hey, how are you? So per your request for something, hi there, how are you doing? Hello there. Hi, you're very pretty. Hope you don't mind. Blah 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 blah. Looking for some fun. Do you like the cock? Great. So pervert. So, out of all the people who stand out, that's got to be one of them. Hey, would you rather date Harry Potter or Ron Weasley? Hello. Seeing what you were up to. You were so cute. You interested? Message you. So, as you can see, most of those were just an introduction. Hi, how are you? There was 46 of them. And she's been up for like 3 hours, and I'm just using OkCupid because it's free, it's popular, a lot of guys use it, a lot of girls use it. In fact, it's 3 times as many girls use it as guys use it. But this works for Tinder, this works for like Match, this works for anything out there. All these are the exact same. We're just using that as an example here. And so you can see when you come off and you just say hi, you're like every other guy. you're not going to read this. If you got 46 emails of people and, 30 of them just said, "Hi, how are you?" You're not going to read that stuff. And one said, "Do you like thick cock?" It's why girls freak out. It's why they quickly leave the site. But it's also a good thing, because if you noticed, if not one of those guys we just looked at there was funny or interesting or, sent like a cool message. If like the most interesting was would you rather date Harry or Ron? That's the most exciting thing, and later we'll show why that's a bad thing. So you don't want to just send a hi. You don't want to be introduction. It's not a it's not your cousin's wedding care. So let's move on. Long, strange, detailed messages that tell too much. So when guys figure out that hi doesn't work, they go the exact opposite way, and they send these huge things. They still don't realize that just funny works, just using some little natural humor. But they say Hannah, which was her name. This was a girl who I forget who wrote this, but I asked girls to send me things for these things, and this is some of the stuff they sent me. Oh, by the way, I don't suggest doing this yourself unless you get permission from girls. So don't put up their profiles or anything like that. I get permission from them, so that's why I do it. But I read every word of your profile, many of your question answers. You are beautiful, but read to be equally beautiful person. If I saw your profile on Denver's site, even though I'm not into the baby thing, okay, so what I think is going on here is that if you remember, she said, "Hey, I'm looking for marriage and like a baby, and I'm not into flings. Please don't message me about your thick cock or anything like that, blah, 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 blah." And he said, so he's like, says, I'm guessing he's from Denver is what he means. And he saw it from Denver. It's not a baby thing. I still want to meet you. So from a guy in a hotel for a week in a hotel near the convention center off this place near her, best of luck to you. Peace. Yes, this is just an awful message, right? It's way too overly detailed. It's way too things. It scares the girl away. There's no, like, he's especially weird here with the baby thing and like, "Hey, I'm in a hotel and I'm from Denver, so you just want to fuck me," is basically what he's saying. But everything about this, all these things scare the girl away. They come across way too needy and emotional. Next one. "Hello, my name's..." His name. "I came across your profile and had your message. I would love the opportunity to get to know you, to see if we could connect. One of my passions is sports. I played it, I go to watch it, and I studied it. His university sports management program graduate. What is one of your passions? When you get a chance, I would love to hear back from you." Again, just way too much. She doesn't know you. Okay, she's got all this Facebook stuff. She gets all these weird, creepy guys just messaging her all the time, like 95% of it. If you come across funny and non-creepy, you have the best chance in the world of doing stuff. But when you say stuff like your passions, you ask her her passions, and you say all this stuff, it comes across as bad. "Just passing by, saw your photo, wanted to say hello, how's life treating you? I'm new to the area. Blah, 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 blah," all these details. And, the interesting thing here is that these guys, they actually remind me a lot of myself, which sounds bad, but, for the last 6 years, I've been teaching guys, dating both in the real life and online, but before that, I was, like, the biggest, nerdiness, loneliness guy in the world. I asked 17 girls out, and only 3 said yes. 2 were, like, using me for, like, the dinner, because I was like, "I'll provide you a really big dinner." In fact, like, one when, I stopped paying for gambling, because I was in Australia, and I met this Australian girl, and that Australian's legal, and when I stopped paying for her to gamble and just play the slot machine without me, I said, like, after she spent, like, $60 of mine, I'm like, "I'm not going to give you more money, you should be hanging out with me." She just left. And then the other girl, the girl who, like, so I went on 4 dates with 3 different women, so 2 just was 1 date, then 1 girl went out with me twice, and she was literally the neediest girl I've met to this day, and I was, like, so needy that I scared her away, and I actually used to sent her stuff like this, like, after we first met, I sent her this really long, like, 10-page poem about, like, cat ears, and how I was dreaming about her, and all this other creepy stuff. But, I used to, do the math in my head and be like, I've asked out 17 girls and 3 said yes. If I could ask out 1 girl a week, which I couldn't because I was so scared of like going up to women. It was such a big thing. I was so much anxiety about them rejecting me, about them yelling at me or getting mad at me for doing this stuff. Talk to a girl, like I would ask out a girl like once every 6 months, and then she'd say no when I'd cry, and I'd be like, I've never asked out a girl again, and then I get lonely and like fell in love with a girl by just like seeing her, like, oh, she's so beautiful, and I'd ask her out again. But if I said like, if I get asked 1 out a week, that's 51. That's 52 a year. On average, 9 will say yes, right? 3 out of 17. Out of those, 3 will go on a second date. Hopefully, out of those, 3 will go on a third date. So 1 out of 3 of those will go on a third date. So 1 a year will have a third date with me. I got from like a Dilbert cartoon of all things, where he's like on a third date with a girl, and he's like, it's the end of the third date. You either have to kiss me or like dump me. It's like, that's how you kiss women. They have to, at the end of the third date, you have to kiss them. I thought that's how it worked at the time. So I figured, 1 out of those 3, every 3 girls I went on a third date with would then kiss me. So I'd get a kiss every 3 years, and maybe in like 10 or 20 years from then, I'd have sex. If I asked out a girl a week. Thankfully, it didn't turn out like that. I started, improving myself, asking out 3 girls a day, getting over my fear and rejection, and doing a lot online. And in fact, when I first started online 10 years ago with Yahoo like profiles, I used to send this type of stuff. I actually used to you had to pay them money to send a message, but it's free to wink. And so like I remember I like winked at this girl, and like before I did, I spent several hours sending my entire profile just to her and how much I loved her and how like over this top like things, like I didn't say I love you, but so pretty, and I like how you like this thing and I like that thing, and you like this thing and I like this thing. We have so much of a connection. We should so meet, and I'll take you on the most romantic date, and I'm gonna buy you this, and then I'll listen to your feelings, and I'll never pressure you about sex, because I thought this was what girls wanted, right? And then Yahoo was actually read of your profile at the time, because they could, and obviously she didn't respond to that, but eventually Yahoo read that and said, you can't do this, and kicked me out. And it took me a long time and lots of trial and error to actually figure out what worked. Eventually I did it, this was 10 years ago, and it took me like about 3 years. So a year later I started putting a lot of effort into it, 9 years ago, and then 3 years started getting success, and now here I am. So it does work. I went through all that pain, so you don't have to. Don't send these long detailed messages. That's, I guess, what I'm saying. All right, next one, trying to get her to lead. Some examples here. I just finished up my beef steak, green beans, and onions with a side of lemon hummus. Do you eat out often? What kind of major do you want to have or think about having at your university? And I used to live like 2 miles from that university before I moved. LOL. Hey, doing anything fun this weekend? So, what is going on? Well, these guys are just asking questions. Often they'll say stuff as well as like, check out my profile or whatever. And what really is going on is, again, we got that introductory stuff where they're just like normal conversation with questions, but they really want her to either, do the conversation for them because they can't think of anything, or teach them how to be good. Like the guy with this hummus stuff, like clearly he's thinking in his head, hey, I'm going to be like all casual and just mention like this cool meal I met, and then I'll ask what she wants, if she eats out often, and she'll be like, yeah, I like this and this, and I'll be like, cool, I like the same things, we're so similar, and then, I'll invite her over for this great steak that I made, and she'll come because it's a great steak, and it'll be really tricky, so I don't have to admit that I'm coming because I want her to be on a date, and she won't get that. And of course, I'm joking here, right? Because she knows when you say come over for a steak, she's not coming over for the steak. She's coming over because she likes you if she comes over, or she's turning you down, usually, because she doesn't like you, and she doesn't like the fact that you're not leading. That's a lot of times you see this too. Guys will be like, I wish there was a way we could stay connected, and she knows you're asking for the number, and she doesn't like that you're not being man about it, so she's not giving it to you. So you want to cut out these questions, you want to cut out, check out for my profile, anything where you're like, I wish she would do this, and so I'm going to try to hint at it. Or anything that's getting her to like, and you might be like, hey, he just asked if she's doing fun this weekend. You know, why is this bad? Well, that's again because she's got YouTube, she's got Facebook, she's got porn. Girls look at porn, right? Not as much as you, probably, but they do it. And if she's going to sit here answering, are you fun this weekend, to the 56 or 46 people who messaged her, or she's going to look at porn, you know, or more often just chat with her friends on Facebook or watch some Netflix, she's going to do that instead. It doesn't mean that she's not here to talk to people. She is, but she's not here to talk to some guy about the fun things she'd had on the weekend. If she wanted to do that, she would go to her grandmother's, or she'd sit on the bus and have weird strangers approach her and ask her it. It's basically it. Quitting too early. So when guys finally get a girl to actually message them, a lot of times they just quit because they're scared. It's basically they're scared. And you know, I've done this too. Back in the day when I was really scared of women, I remember that I asked this girl, you know, I asked this, like, saw this girl sitting at a table, I said something funny to her, she smiled, she laughed, she looked at me like she wanted me to say more, and then I walked away because I was so scared. This one here was sent to me by a girl. I messaged them and said, hey, can you send me some examples of this? And what happened was he was really funny, and she really liked him, and he obviously couldn't think of anything to say, and so he sent, great thanks, I like what you have in your profile, post in your profile, you know, which is, I can't think of anything to say, you please lead the conversation now, instead of me doing it. And eventually she will, you know, when you start off, you lead the conversation, and you get her to be funny, and then she'll think of stuff, and she'll start saying it back, and then, you know, it'll be a normal conversation, but it wasn't there yet, and so she just put thanks with that exclamation mark, which is great. If girls send you exclamation marks or like smiley faces down here, then she really like likes you, whatever. That's her way of saying, you talk to me more. And then 6 minutes later, after that, he couldn't think of anything, so he said, have a good rest of your weekend, and she said, okay. And that was it. He never messaged her again. She said, you know, like, I probably would have given my number right about then. You know, if he said, great, thanks, what you had to post on your profile. I at least really wanted to talk to him more. But instead, he just never messaged me again. So don't do that. Go, you know, it kind of sucks. You have to be the man about it. But in another way, it's good because, you know, you got 46 people out there doing really crappy stuff. And if you're the 47th person and you're the one sending her good messages, then she goes out with you. So that's very nice. Next one, using obvious pickup lines. This first one I actually really like. It goes, hey, you remind me of my appendix because I know very little about you, but you give me a funny feeling in my stomach and it makes me want to take you out. I think that's hilarious. But you don't want to use it. I mean, maybe this will get a response, actually, possibly. But the thing is, she knows you sent this to like 100 guys, or sorry, 100 women. She knows that, like, you didn't come up with this, that you just heard it somewhere. It's not what I would call naturally funny. You want to send, this is almost the perfect message to send if it wasn't an obvious pickup line, if it was just naturally, if it was just something that, you know, seemed like it came off the top of your head. Like, I just thought of this, so I sent it to you. That'd be great. Also, he has a really horrible little circle here. So if you're wondering, what she does is, she kind of maybe glances at this circle thing, but she'll probably just read this a little bit, then look at this more. Then if this is your funny thing, you know, and this doesn't look like I know you can't see it, but he's like in his closet, like trying on ties, and he looks like a, you know, like he's about to go to church or something because he's wearing some like really nerdy, you know, collared shirt or whatever, and it's awful and it's out of focus. It's not good. But if these look fine, then she'll click on your profile, and if you get a profile view, that means she likes what you sent her, and she likes this. And then if the profile looks good, she'll message you. And if she doesn't message you after she gets a profile view, then you got to change your pictures or something. Most pickup lines are something like this. Do you work at Starbucks? Because I like you a latte. And they just suck. And they're not good. And she's not going to respond to this. What you want to do is just think of something funny like this, but it's normal, and send that out. And that's when girls will message you and they'll go out with you. I mean, also got to send them a little bit more and get their number and everything. But it's when it'll all be good. So number 6 here, compliments or anything that might make you come off as every other guy. So I get here, okay, you are cute, but you already know that. Admittedly, that is what attracted me to your profile, but I would like to know you better as a person. If you're at all interested in chatting a while, I would love to meet you. And this other guy, hey, I do like your profile. Can I have your number, or can I just text you instead? It's much easier. Oh, by the way, I am RJ. This has got to be, this last one's got to be like the worst message I've ever seen in my life. I like to think of this guy like sitting at home, like wondering like, why are girls not messaging me? I start by saying hey to them, like, because when it's on the regular screen, when you don't pull it up like this, all she can see is like hey, right? And maybe like, hey, I do like your profile. Like, I start by saying hey to them. I then compliment them on the profile, and then I ask them to give my number. And instead of like coming right out and saying like, obviously I'm getting your number for like a date, or just not even saying that, the best thing to do is just like, can I have your number? Let her know that. I pretend it's because it's much easier. Like, she could so totally see through that, but I bet she likes it. Like, she could see through that. She knows that you're not like asking just because it's easier. She knows you're asking because you want your number. She knows why you're asking for a Snapchat or a Kik. Don't do that. Just talk to her a little, get her sending you exclamation marks and happy faces, and getting her like trying to like be witty back to you, be witty to her, and try to get when she's trying to be witty back, and then say, what's your number? That's it. What's your number? You know, maybe add a question mark, maybe not. I'll leave it to you. You could find it out. But this is like the worst possible thing. There's absolutely no reason for her to respond. And you know, I think actually one of the hardest things for guys just to start out is to realize that compliments don't work. Flowers, gifts, or money, they don't work. It doesn't matter how like tall, attractive, wealthy, or if you have a good job. It doesn't matter your race, though a lot of times it does seem like this, especially online. You know, there's statistics that like Asian men don't get messages much and things like this. Well, I've worked with Asian men in the past, and we've gotten them tall, hot blondes, you know, who are like 3 inches taller than them because they're 5'6", she's like 5'9", and she's like blonde with like double D's, and you know, she's just like the hottest girl. And when you ask her, hey, why did you go out with this guy? It was like, well, because he was funny and confident, and he asked me out in an attractive way, and it wasn't like all these other guys who are messaging me. You know, you want to stay across from all these other guys. And it doesn't matter, like, hey, I'm actually a really fat guy. I know you can't see me, but I'm like 230 pounds right now. I used to be 180 back in college when I was like actually hot, but I'm not. I do better than I do in college because I've actually learned how to be funny and confident and all this other stuff. And also, I think what shocks most guys is that it really doesn't matter if you're sensitive or listen or care or be a nice guy or be concerned with her feelings. These are all things that I think, like the last stuff, like the caring and supportiveness, is important, but only after she's your girlfriend. Once she's your girlfriend, then she wants that. Before that, she has her friends. Girls care and support them, but what girls can't do and what most people can't do is just go out and just like have a blast. Like, do you remember that cool guy who you'd hang out with and every time it was just fun to be around him? Well, that's what she wants. But she also wants that from a guy who she could then eventually be supportive with and she could be sexual with. But the first thing she wants to see is that she's a cool guy that give her a fun time and just be witty with her. And any guy who helps her have fun by like providing witty and playful banter has a shot. And any guy who doesn't has no shot. And I know there's some guys watching this right now, and he's being like, compliments shouldn't hurt. They shouldn't hurt. But they do because they remind her of like every other guy. It's like the people coming up on the street and like asking you for money. Like, they're like, hey, do you have a sec? And you're like, no, get away from me. Don't even get close. But it's like if we go back to this this profile here, right, where she's got like even more messages since the last time. All these guys are complimenting her. All these guys. You know, and not one of them seems like they're about to tell her a joke, or like, you know, not like a joke, like, hey, do you want to hear a joke? But like just like a funny statement, like the appendix one. And, you know, all these guys are doing this, and when you give her a compliment, she's just reminded of all these guys, and she shut down, and she stops responding to you. So, we're going to stop that right now, and you're not going to do it or until, like, she's actually on the date with you. And even then, maybe just very, very little, if anything, so you don't start sounding like every other guy again. And number 7, last one, using self-deprecating humor, or you probably won't respond, or I'm probably too old, too fat, or whatever, anything negative. So we look at this guy, hey, how's your day? Would you ever consider going out with someone my age? Or, hi there, I'm Peter. Some time ago I tried to message you, but your inbox is full. I hope this gets to you and that you have some time to get back to me. Like, guys do this because, you know, he's probably like a little embarrassed about it. Girls will date you, you know, usually if you're 10 years older or less. Right? So if the age gap is less than 10 years, which is huge, that's a huge age gap. But they'll be more than happy to do that. But he's like, oh, I'm like embarrassed about this, and I'm worried of like messaging her and her like yelling, you're so old, why are you messaging me? So I'm gonna like show her I know it. But it just comes off as someone who's had problems in the past. All these just come off as someone who has problems in the past. Similar is like, why is a pretty girl on here? Or anything that make her come off as like she's the prize and you're like you're not in her league, or similar, or stuff that makes it seem like you like don't like the dating site or aren't having luck or just generally not having a good time. Think of it like a used car salesman doing like the same thing. Like, imagine that like you step on a used car lot and a used car salesman comes up with you, which is just such a great analogy for this. And you're like looking at this car and you kind of like it, and he's like, oh, I know you probably won't buy this car, I know you probably won't like it, but like, you know, let me try to do it. You're immediately going to think, what's wrong with it, right? I know this car is probably it's a used car, right? Maybe it's, oh, I know this car's like a little too old for you, right? Maybe, but maybe you want to check it out. You're like, oh, and I wasn't even thinking about that. I wasn't even thinking this age. I liked the car, but now you start thinking about this. Like, hey, I know I tried to like sell you this car before and you didn't do it, but you know, let me try you again. It's just going to turn you off and not want to make you, you know, buy the car. All right. So in conclusion, so 7 things that you should completely avoid immediately, and get out of your entire dating life so that you could actually talk to a girl and come off as someone who's interesting and fun and not like the other 46 guys who are messaging things, so that you could actually get the number and get a date. 1, saying hi or introduce stuff. 2, long or overly detailed messages about her and you and the world together, or whatever these things are. Trying to get her to lead, trying to get her to be the one talking, trying to get her the one to ask for the number or tell you what she likes in a guy so you could pretend to be it. Giving up too early when she's actually into you at all, or just getting away from funny stuff when she's not into you. We didn't mention that, but too. Using obvious pickup lines, using compliments or anything that might come off as every other guy, using self-deprecating humor, you probably won't respond, or I'm probably too old or fat or anything negative. So that's it. That's your 7 things. And before you go, I have a really great deal for you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's completely free. And if you just look below your thing, I'm going to give you a free consulting thing where, you know, you just have to sign up your name. I'm going to go and look at your profile. I'm going to tell you what messages, you know, you're sending and how to change it. I'm going to look at your photos, tell you how to do that, how to word that. I'm going to help you, you know, get these women to respond to you and get your dates and all this stuff. This is something I usually charge $150 hours for. $150 an hour for it, by the way. But I'm going to give you it for free. And the reason why is because, as I said, I've been consulting guys for about 6 years now for both dating in the real world and online, and now I'm moving my business online, and it's just starting off. You're seeing the very beginning of it, and what I need to do is do a little bit of market research, and I gotta ask you some questions like, hey, what do you want to see, you know, in these videos? What do you want for a program that you'll pay for? All this other stuff, and all these other questions. So instead of charging you $150 an hour like I usually do, which is a great deal, by the way, because, you know, if you pay a guy $150 an hour and then you get a date with a girl that you probably would have spent $150 to go out with her anyways, right? Like on dinner and everything. And, you know, you get like 4 dates, you know, in the next week just by paying this guy $150. It's a really great deal. Instead, you're going to get that all for free. And in exchange, you're just going to talk to me a little bit about so I could do some market research. Doesn't that sound cool? So to do that, all you got to do is put in your name and your information right below this video. It will send me an email saying that you've done it. I'll then send you an email to set up a little time to go over your profile and everything. And then we'll talk, and we'll fix your profile up, make your pictures better, make your messaging, answer any questions that you might have, so that, you know, women will talk to you and give them your numbers and you can take them out on dates. And that's all we have for now. So, you know, put in your information right now and have a really great day.